Okay, here I am. I don't really think my base is completely straight. So either gonna have to come over that way. I may come over that way some of that after. Okay. I got strategy. Don't overly worry about it. My strategy does not particularly involve making great notches though, so just so you know. It's more like, can I get some notches in it real quick for my sleepy audience? That felt like it fanned wide. You think I'm right? Let's see. Kinda did. I better get to using the issue stick. I'm really gonna have problems here because, like I said, this is not thin like it should be. And again, if this becomes a sacrificial point, it's not gonna hurt my feelings real bad because I don't think anybody's gonna find it at the landfill and be able to say, look what freeze crack made, look what freeze crack made. And that might be, you know, a good thing. So that pushing ahead of you can be extremely beneficial, if not to say necessary, when you have failed like a big dog to get optimal conditions for creating a finely crafted implement of destruction. Should I just leave it like that? I mean, that's got notches. I could say it's one of them San Saba knife things. It's a baby San Saba. What do you think? You might ask why I'm filing in there. It's like because sometimes I care more about stuff working right than I care about being too legit to quit. I like to use issue stick for that big old portant flake. And then the reason I switched to the smaller thing for the other flake sometimes is because it would be real embarrassing if I got wild with the issue stick and took an ear off. And I can get in at angles more with this and stay away from the part of the ear that's already, the part of the notch that's already flaked. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I mean this is, yeah, this is, you know, hitting the market at $87.34. I like to think in terms of if I were going to sell stuff, which I never have sold one. But if I were, I would darn sure give them unusual prices. And you say, why would I do that? It's like, well, because too much of the world, you know, would say $89.95. I don't like that. saying 89.95 is just you telling people you think they don't realize that's 90. This is ugly. But I mean, I could carry it around and give it and show it to people and say, yeah, I've been napping 11 months. 11 months. 11 months, 12 days, and 23 minutes. Not counting breaks. There's where that one ran to, and there's where that one ran to. So as you can see, all this huge amount of thickness in here is being avoided by me because it wouldn't work worth a flip. I'm trying to square these out and keep these notches from closing in on me, but the actuality of the situation is if you want a deep notch, it'd be wise to try and go a little wider than this, because the narrower it is, the more likely one of them flakes is going to wrap and take off your ear. And I don't mean your ear, I mean your point's ear. To the extent that your point is capable of possessing things. If you're not stuffed thin, if you make things thin, then you can I kind of like to, if I'm thinking about it, I like to go my center flake and then the one toward the inside, because that's less likely to break off than if you do that one first. So then once you've got the knife edge on the middle flake and the one inside, then that makes this one release a little easier, but you still got to worry a little bit about it wrapping back that direction. But it's good if you're going to be a notcher, it's good to be a little fatalistic about it, like, ain't got nothing in this rock but my time anyway. Unless it's like Imperial Jasper, in which case I suggest you do it right, not like I do. But you may have noticed I've never posted an Imperial Jasper point and probably never will. I don't think I've ever owned a piece of Imperial Jasper. I just know from other people that talk in a covetous manner about the stuff that it must be good. I switched ends. I took a big old honk and flake because I want anybody to see this and go, oh man, that's some beautiful punch work. That didn't work worth a flip. I may have to go back to my other strategy. See how that's widening out because I don't have this hammered down flat and I'm starting to touch? Dangerous, man. I'm saying. A major part of this issue is you need to practice notching on flakes a lot, because if you notch a lot, I mean, it eventually gets kind of like easy and it works and you don't screw it up and you don't break a bunch of crap. I have not been notching a lot lately, and this is getting real close to being funcatated, although that flake helped. I grabbed hard up in that steepening and wanting to stall notch and pushed in and down hard try and keep them even. You know, that one was shorter and it was getting real steep to where it was going to stall out because I'm in thickness. And so I got forceful with it in an appropriate direction. And that's kind of key, kind of critical. So I'm pushing very hard when I push. And the reason it hasn't fallen apart is because, you know, it's all in the direction of the force and how everything's done. Ah, there we go. Okay, so what happened there? I'll tell you. I'll tell you exactly why that failed. The inside of the notch, which I could have prevented this if I had just taken a flat little, if I had taken a little flat file and filed along that and not had a knife edge on that, it probably would have not let go. But it's a knife edge, and even though it has very little mass, it does have mass. And so when I pushed in hard here and pushed down. And really, I think that when the flake released, just the upward flip of it and that sharp knife edge was enough where it just made it wrap off. But anyway, so there we go. Another gorgeous performance by Freeze Cracked. Hey, I'm back. Look, there's the debitage power from that major reduction that I did for y'all. Hey, I thought of several things. Number one, I never like to let a rock beat me, so I didn't want that rock to finish on a winning thing. And so as soon as I got off, I knocked the rest of the broken ear and the base and the other ear off, and thinned the heck out of the base. Well, narrow, you know, got the square edge off of it and tapered on up thin into it, and then notched it, and I still have a real sharp edges. They're good edges, nice robust body on it. So actually that's I mean, I would twang at something with this thing. I think it would work very well. But the other thing was on that, you know, I talked about the ear flipping up and that flipping it off. That's very much, I still think that's the probability, but I failed to mention that when I pushed downward, I did put contact with the ear on the leather, but I don't think it was hard enough to flip it off on its own, but it could have contributed to it. I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch it. Y'all can set it on ultra slow motion if you want on your settings to go back and watch it and see if you can tell if it was the pressure of the upward flip. I know from having done that before with where the thing was all the way off the edge, and I had the support at the base of the notch, and the ear wasn't even touching the pad when it flipped off due to just that upward force rebounding. The mass pulls on it, and you've got those knife edges on both sides of that ear, and it just doesn't have a lot of resistance to breaking on those things. That's one of the reasons you got to be so careful and practice a lot on flakes. Anyway, talked enough. Oh, I thought of something else. The fact that ear that was broken off had the fracture like it did, and like a little hanging off thing up at the top end of it and everything like that, may mean that it didn't just flip off. It could be that because a radial fracture, I mean, it doesn't usually look like that when it just flips off. It's more of a break across, and that's kind of like a radial fracture that could have initiated down in the notch itself from a roughness or a little burr or anything like that on the little steel horseshoe nail that I was using or whatever, off a really thin edge or something, I don't know. So I've given you three possibilities. You can combine them together or choose the one you like best, you know, A, B, or C, or A and B above, B and C above, none of the above, all of the above. You know, it is a test. Life is like that. As far as photography, you know, if I had decided to show you this point in a way that I wanted to look good, I could of course put cosmetics on it, you know, lemon oil, or, you know, I don't know. Anyway, the other thing too is the photography, you know, if you put it where all your little defects are facing the right direction, then they don't show up as much as if you turn them and have them the other way, etc. Actually, if you just keep a point for a couple of days after you made it before you photograph it, there's a really newly flake look that kind of is annoying when you first flake one, and a couple of days later it looks better. One thing I want to mention to you though is look at the difference between the side that was right out there with all the lime and the other side. You know, big difference in the quality of flint and how it flaked, and it affects the edges too. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but a lot of the little choppiness and flakiness and weirdness when I was flaking, both with pressure and percussion on this, was in part due to the calcium carbonate content and with the silica out there near the edge. So if you ever want to make a good point for something to hunt with or do whatever, you know, you'd be best served by using genuine good flint down in the rock rather than stuff right out by the cortex. But I just like the different look it has sometimes. Although with this stuff, that like this layered look there and everything, it's going to go away because this will just get lighter and lighter and lighter, and over time it'll turn light gray, very light gray. Anyway, bye.